If you are confused between Riverpod, BLoC and provider, then you are not alone. Many new founders or many new developers, they actually research a lot on state management, because that is the crucial part about front-end development, isn't it? I have been developing Flutter apps for so many years now, since it came out. I used to use React Native before, and I use Svelte now, I use React. So in all of these front-end technologies, one thing is very common, is that we research a lot on state management. Which one's the simplest, which one's scalable, which one is architecturally correct, right? The thing I found out after these many years of development, I've got like around a decade of experience in mobile app development, and I've noticed that state management is not the thing that you need to be very concerned about. Pick one and move forward with it, and then you can upgrade it later on, because things change all the time, right? We had provider, and then now we have Riverpod, so everyone is switching to Riverpod. So the switch will come in the future. Maybe someone will come up with a better version of Riverpod. We never know that. As a developer, we have to learn to switch. But one thing that will never change is the architecture of the project. Primarily, we have to structure our project in a way that's scalable. Why is this important? This is important because I recently faced similar issue. I had one project that I built like few years ago when Riverpod was very new, and I was using provider at that time. I tried BLoC and I didn't like it. Honestly, it was heavy. You don't want to make things complex. Coding is already complex, right? We want to make it simple. BLoC introduces a lot of complexity. Although it's recommended for large scale application, things have changed now. I can talk about a lot of things here because I've personally faced a lot of issues, but to sum up, I found out that if you have a good architecture, files and folder architecture primarily, then scaling it becomes a lot easier. For example, I was using a very simple architecture. I had around 40 plus features in my app. I had around 70 plus files in a folder. So things were getting way too big. So I had to find a new architecture. So what I did was I changed the structure to feature-based project architecture. So I had a folder inside lib called features, and every single feature was inside its own folder. All the widgets, all the logic was inside that folder, and that thing changed how I develop nowadays. I even converted my backend, I converted my front end, even the Svelte project that I was using, I started using the feature-based architecture first, because it's more scalable and you just open a folder and then you work on it. The point is, right now, since I've got two Flutter projects, one using provider and one using Riverpod, I'm thinking about switching the one that was using provider to Riverpod. I realized that my files were scattered everywhere and there were multiple providers being used by a single screen, so things were a little bit messy, and I was blaming provider for it. So when I switched to feature-based architecture, like the one I said, everything started to change, because now everything was inside a folder, and I used to switch the folder and work on this feature. I used to create a branch, work on this feature, and another branch in this feature. I was surprised, especially if it's a big project, right? You need to have a strong architecture from the very beginning, but you don't know how big your project is gonna go initially. While I was trying to migrate from provider to Riverpod 3, the only thing I did was I changed the project architecture, and surprisingly now migrating to Riverpod became a lot easier. Maybe tomorrow there will be another package that manages states better, and I can implement that as well easily because I changed the folder architecture. Now I can do feature specific migration slowly. I don't even have to do it all at once. But before, it was organized and it was maintainable until it was not, because now the project had 40-50 plus features, and files were getting way too big. So I had the feature and I could now create multiple files, multiple folders based on individual section within that feature. So doing this made me realize that trying to figure out which one to choose between provider, BLoC or Riverpod made no sense to me. The primary way to move forward now is using Riverpod. Obviously you don't want to use provider, because provider is a older version and it's not scalable. I've used Provider and yeah, it does create a little bit of mess, because if you want to use Provider for same provider for multiple screens, now things will start to get messy. That's what you don't want, right? So if you switch to Riverpod, and there's one more thing, when you use Provider, you need to manage singleton services as well, or factory services, right? So you have to use get it package or some other way, or manually you have to create singleton patterns to manage the service files. So you have a lot of dependency with Provider. But with Riverpod, you just use Riverpod to manage services, you use Riverpod to manage the state, and the Riverpod to manage the entire screen. You know, everything is within Riverpod. So it's a better version of Provider, better version of state management so far. However, BLoC is still recommended for large scale application, but it's heavy and it has a learning cycle that you might want to avoid. I personally avoided it, and since I've used Riverpod, I don't see the need for BLoC. Now we use AI to code as well, so it's not that we are doing everything from scratch. We are asking AI to do a lot of things for us, and I hope that you have also implemented AI in your work, because I have fully migrated to using AI to build stuff, build feature. I create a branch, build a feature, and then I put it there. I also go through the requirements and the tasks that the AI has created. I just go through it and I understand what it understood about that feature, and I correct that requirement. It's mostly about the prompts that I just work on nowadays. Primarily, before I never used to read the prompt, and I just used to ask AI to do that. But as I got experience and as I got more technical, I realized that requirement, that boring part where you just go through all the documents that the AI generated for you to review, you have to review them, right? And then create a separate branch and do the features there. So the reason I'm bringing all of this is because trying to decide between Riverpod, BLoC or Provider is redundant. You know, it's no longer necessary. The main thing is that you need to structure the project, because now boilerplate code is not a problem anymore, because AI can do that for you, right? With Riverpod, there is one thing very specific. You have to use generators. If you try to manually start wiring up, things will start to get messy. I've seen it. The reason I have got some good feedbacks on my Riverpod tutorial is because most tutorials out there about Riverpod, oh, you don't want to get into that. It's fucking complicated. People have made it so complicated that I had to sit down and I had to figure it out, and I figured it out a simpler way. That's why many people are responding properly. But the thing is that I realized that architecture is primary when it comes to development, because AI can't build you an architecture. You have to do that. So the thing is that all three of these state management packages, you can use it to build scalable apps, right? And with AI, boilerplate code, writing too much code is also not a problem anymore, right? Because if a project is built with BLoC architecture and it's massive, you can't change it now, because most projects are old projects and they are using Provider. Some of them are using BLoC and some of them are using Riverpod, and chances are that people who are using Riverpod, they just started the project recently, because I use Provider and I can't switch immediately. And this is also the reason I'm not trying to pick one. If it's a new project, use Riverpod, no question there. If it's an old project, do not migrate. First, fix the project architecture so that it's easier to migrate, so that you can migrate one feature at a time. So rather than getting stuck, if your team knows BLoC architecture, if your team knows Provider, if your team knows Riverpod, then don't switch. Use that and start building that, because launching the product is more important than trying to decide which state management to use. And if you find the best state management package, you don't want to spend few weeks learning that too. Use that to build the app immediately, because that's the most important part. You can once the product fits the market, then you can obviously choose to use the best one out there. If you're a beginner, if you're new, then that's when you start thinking about the technology first. It's important, yes, that's why you have chosen Flutter. That's important. But within Flutter, once you choose the technology stack, now that is very important obviously based on the project, but once you go inside those projects, don't worry about state management. Move forward with what you know. Don't try to learn new stuff. That will slow down development. If that's not a problem, then obviously go with the latest, go with the best. But in reality, it doesn't work like that. So my recommendation is that move forward with what you already know, what you are already good at. Choose the one that you know and move forward with it. And then once the product becomes a success, or if the product starts gathering some clients, then that's when you choose to use a better tool. A migration is always required. And migration is good as well, because when you start, the code is always messy. You're experimenting as well. So coming back to the features that you have already worked on, it's gonna give you a better idea of the code, and it'll improve it as well. So in the long run, you have to come back and go through it to optimize it, right? Don't get confused with which state management to choose. If you have to learn it, if you already know, Riverpod is the best. Actually, I would never use Provider or BLoC, right? That's my personal experience, because I already know how to work with them. I invested so much time. Honestly, I wasted a lot of time learning Riverpod. I could have used those time to develop the app with Provider, but I didn't do that, right? Because I wanted to learn technology, and that's wrong. Sometimes you don't want to stop the development and learn tools to develop it. Build the tool first, get it out there, and then learn new things and implement it, because getting to the market is important. Getting that first client is important than trying to make a perfect system. So what's the conclusion of my video here? Riverpod is the latest and the go-to state management for now. Provider is outdated. BLoC is heavy, and most people try to avoid it. Now the thing is, it's about the architecture. So fix the architecture first. Try to use feature-based architecture, so all the files are inside within one folder, so that you don't have to open 10 different folders to work on one single feature. It's all in one place. Once that's done, don't worry about the state management. Fix the project architecture, and then move forward with what state management package you know, and then later on migrate to Riverpod when you have time, when you have the client, when there is a proof that the project works. So that's all for this video, guys.